Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Full Court MACtion, a half hour dedicated to the players and coaches making news in Mid-American Conference basketball. The Miami Redhawk men are closing in on the 20-win mark for the season and have won 9 of 10 in Mid-American Conference play. Head coach Travis Steele recently signed an extension that will keep him in Oxford through the 2032 season. The term players coach can mean a lot of things, and Travis Steele is definitely one by most definitions. The player-coach dynamic is a unique one, especially in college basketball.
You form relationships. That's the reason I got into this business, was just relationships, helping young men. And, I always say, once you're on my team, you're on my team for life.
With Miami head coach Travis Steele, there are actions that back up those words. Steele was head coach at Xavier for 4 years with 2 postseason appearances. After being let go by the Musketeers, he landed quickly with Miami and recruited Cam Kraft, a player injured early in his career at Xavier, to join him with the Redhawks.
The injury limited my freshman year, and it took away my sophomore year. So it took a lot to overcome it, and I'm just thankful to be here today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to play at Miami and Coach Steele.
I had no concern. He's a process-oriented kid, young man, and I knew he would rehab it the right way. He loves basketball. Knew how much he wanted to be out there, obviously, on the floor, which that kind of carries you through an injury in a lot of ways.
It wasn't a hard process at all. He made it easy for me because, there was a relationship there with trust. I trusted him the most, and to be honest, it was an easy decision.
A decision that's benefited everyone, including the Redhawks. They're one of the top teams in the Mid-American Conference, and Kraft is one of their best players.
Cam Kraft buries one off the screen. He's got all the points here in the second half. And
Kraft, over 20 points today. Give him 2 more.
Just his ability to score, he scores like he breathes air. He can score at all 3 levels. Deep threes on the move, mid-range, at the rim. You don't see many guys like that are just out there. There's not a lot of guys that can score at all 3 levels like him. So I thought that really made him unique.
Finds Cam Kraft in the paint. He's going to put it off the glass to the baseline. Gives to Kraft. Pulls the trigger on a 3.
He's got great character. He's got great work ethic. He's everything you want in a young man. So I'm thrilled to be able to finally coach him.
What are the characteristics of a Coach Steele basketball team?
I think just toughness. Not looking too far ahead into the future or too far into the past, just being in the moment and getting better every day.
Cam doesn't get too high or too low. He brings it every day in practice, whether he maybe had a good game or a bad game the game before. He's the same person. In the locker room after the game, whether he had a good game or a bad game, you can't really tell. And I think that shows a lot of maturity, just a consistency in his approach, I think, has really, really improved.
Coming from Xavier my freshman year, we were a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, and we made it to the Sweet 16. So I think I can use a lot of the experience that I have with that, of winning basketball, and bring it here to lead the other guys and, hopefully get back to the tournament with Miami.
Miami is 18-5 on the year, just a game out of first place in the Mid-American Conference, trying to get everything headed in the right direction for March. After trailing in the first round of the MAC SBC Challenge 8-4, the men rebounded with an 8-4 win of their own. Ball State, Kent State, and Toledo all won by 1 possession. In our road to Cleveland standings on the men's side of things, Akron remains in first place ahead of Miami by just 1 game. Toledo is 2 games behind the Zips. Ohio and Kent State are the only other teams currently above 500. All eyes will be on Oxford as the Redhawks host the Rockets. Toledo has 4 players averaging at least 10 points per game and have won 5 in a row. Redhawks are averaging just over 81 points a game while allowing just over 72 per contest. February marks Black History Month, so we asked the coaches of the Mid-American Conference which people of color inspired you the most.
In honor of Black History Month, someone who shaped my life is a lesser-known person, but near and dear to Ohio, is Bessie Coleman. She was the first African-American pilot female pilot, and the International Women's Pilots Museum used to be in Centerville, Ohio, where I lived, and has since recently moved to Cleveland, Ohio. I came to know about Bessie through a Black History Month campaign through a t-shirt company called Homage. Bought the shirt, read about her, and she has a great book about no one owning the sky, and her plight to be one of the first African-American females to fly. I love that analogy of no one owns the sky.
A gentleman by the name of Reverend Charles Cohen. He did a lot of service work in my local community.
In thinking about that, my first heroes and favorite sports figures were all African Americans. Think about my first favorite baseball player was Hank Aaron. My first favorite basketball player was Dr. J. My favorite tennis player when I was a kid was Arthur Ashe.
Welcome back to Full Court MACtion. Time to get out and running on the women's side of things. Let's welcome into the show Becky Burke, head coach at the University of Buffalo. Becky, appreciate the time. Third season with the Bulls. 12 wins in year one, 19 wins last year, 12 straight to start this year. You're sitting at 19. Have you grown the way you thought it, and what have been the keys to the success early this season?
Yeah, I think the trajectory is exactly where we want it, and what we planned for when taking over this program and building this thing from the ground up when we started, 2.5 years ago or so. So super happy with where we're at so far and the start to our season, and where I think we can be by March and April in postseason. And so I'm excited about what we've done so far, and more excited about what's in front of us.
A couple of stumbles last couple games, losses to Toledo and Coastal Carolina. Really good programs. What's the message to the team to get back to on that roll that you've been on?
Yeah, I think it's a blessing and a curse to win 12 straight to start your season, and we've only lost 4 games all year, and so we're in a great position where we don't know what it feels like to lose 2 in a row. I don't know how many teams can say that. So, we're blessed to be in that position, but also in unfamiliar territory. So, for us to get right back on the right track in the next MAC game, I think is really, really important, considering what our final goal is here in a few weeks. And so just to regroup, be humbled a little bit, which I hope and pray that our team has been. And then just get back to business this week with a long week of prep before our game against Ohio. Yeah,
you mentioned that. So you don't play again until Saturday, so it's almost a week. It will be a week off. At this point, given where you're at, we mentioned the 2 losses. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. I'm excited to get some new stuff in this week and, get back to the basics and have some more time where we're not prepping for a team. Just have some more time these next 2 days to work on us. It's really hard during season to, just have time to work on you and implement new things and maybe clean things up when you are just in constant preparation mode for your next opponent. So I'm excited to have some more time with our team these next 2 days, work on our toughness a little bit, get back to the habits that got us to where we are right now, and just kind of get back to our foundation, and then when it comes time for Thursday to start focusing back on Ohio.
Coach Burke, appreciate the time. Best of luck to the Bulls leading up to and including the Mid-American Conference Tournament.
Thank you so much.
After taking the first round of the MAC SBC Challenge 8-4, the women won the second round as well, 7-5. Miami and Bowling Green both won by 1 possession. The women also won the Battle of the Belt, 15-9 over the Sun Belt Conference. As a reward, the women will now have a week off to prepare for the final 7 games of MAC play. In our road to Cleveland standings on the women's side of things, Ball State still on top, a perfect 11-0 in conference play. Buffalo, Toledo, and Kent State are tied 3 games back at 8-3. Miami and Western Michigan are both 6-5. Our women's game of the week also involves the Red Hawks. Miami has won 3 straight games and had a thrilling win over the Sun Belt's Louisiana's Ragin' Cajuns. Miami travels to Kent to take on the Golden Flashes. Kent State has won 6 of their last 7 games. and are led by Jenna Batch, scoring nearly 17 points a contest. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout, but before we do, here are some more Mid-American Conference coaches and the people of color who inspire them the most for Black History Month.
My dad's sister, my Aunt Carolyn, she inspires me because growing up, she was always supportive. She was always at our games when I was in high school, college, pro. Even coaching at the college level, she's there. She goes on trips. But not only her support, but her just selflessness. And she raised 3 kids of her own. She brought in kids, adopted kids, raised them just as equally. So she leads with love, and she inspires me to lead like that every day.
For me, it's not one person. It's the women who I've coached, the women of color who I've coached in the past and who I currently coach, who inspire me every day. I think they show strength, resiliency, authenticity in all that they do, and I've had a lot of women of color who have come through the ranks as players, receive an education, do incredible things in their 4 years as a basketball player, and are now doing amazing things in the real world.
The 2008 election was one of them that was historic and memorable, obviously, with President Obama being elected. And I found myself being very intrigued by what the First Lady had to say, especially with her advocacy for education and women's equality. And I just thought she was brilliant and inspiring.
We continue to push the pace on full court MACtion. We're going to go back to the men's side of things. Let's welcome in Michael Lewis. He's the head coach for the Ball State Cardinals. Mike, 3rd season at Ball State. Now, you coached with and played for Bobby Knight. You also coached with Brad Stevens as well as Mick Cronin, kind of legends of the game. What did you learn from them, and who kind of influenced your coaching style the most?
Well, I think I learned a ton from all 3. Obviously, having the opportunity to play for Coach Knight at Indiana had a big influence on me and opened up a lot of doors and gave me some opportunities. Being able to then go coach with him as a grad assistant, kind of, as a player, you're very self-absorbed about how things are going for you, how you're playing, very selfish approach as most players have. And then to be able to get on the other side and peel back the curtain a little bit and see how he structured his staff, how he set up his day, how much preparation that went into a single practice, let alone a game, and just how detailed he was. And then, having that foundation and moving on into coaching and being able to work for the guys that I've been able to work for, I've been very fortunate. I would like to think that all the moves that I made were very strategic because I wanted to surround myself not only with excellent basketball coaches, but great people. And I think I've been able to do that. And they've all empowered me as an assistant, which allowed me to continue to grow. I wasn't scared to get outside of my comfort zone in some of the moves that I made, leaving a place like Butler and living in Indianapolis and, having grown up in Indiana and being very familiar and very comfortable. To go take on a challenge in the Big Ten at Nebraska, and then moving my family to Los Angeles. I grew up in a town of 10,000 people, and you drop your family off in the middle of Los Angeles, and all the things that entails. And but it put me in a position to be here now. And like I said, I learned from some outstanding people. I don't know if any single one of them had the greatest or most influence over how I coach. I think I'm very comfortable in who I am and what I'm about, and I try to take different parts of each one of those individuals that I've been able to be around, and kind of use what works best for me. But there's unbelievable qualities in everybody that I've ever had the chance to work for.
So, a leading scorer, Jamari Hill, is another guy that has transferred. I think your top 6 scorers have transferred at one point. How big of a challenge is it from a coach to kind of mesh all these new people together? And have you seen it? Are you kind of where you'd hoped you'd be doing that as you head down the stretch in the Mid-American Conference part of the schedule?
Yeah, I think if you look at the growth of our team offensively, you've seen those guys getting more comfortable with each other. I thought to start the year, We were not where we needed to be in that department. I thought we had some very selfish play. I think it led to some very poor offense, very inefficient offense, to where we are today. From an offensive standpoint, I think this shows that these guys, our offense is pretty good when the ball moves. And when we're able to pass the basketball, we got some guys with some offensive ability that can make shots and create for others. And once we got the selfishness out of us there in the early season, I think we played a lot better on the offensive end of the floor. So I like the way that we've been progressing. Now we fall back in that trap occasionally. But we've been able to respond and get ourselves back out of it where we're competing at the level that it takes to win in this league on the offensive end of the floor. We have got to continue to develop defensively to allow ourselves to win games. Like we're playing too good offense not to reap some of the rewards of those things because our defense has yet to gain traction.
Coach Lewis, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you and the Cardinals as you battle through conference play, trying to get here to Cleveland for that tournament.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The Buffalo Bulls men's team aren't having the kind of season they were hoping for, but a bright spot has been sophomore Ryan Sable. He leads the team, scoring almost 16 points a game. This week, he goes 94 feet with Paul Peck in this week's Campus Report.
We're going 94 feet with Bulls sophomore guard Ryan Sable. You played a lot last year. You did a lot of good things. What did you learn from last year that's going to make you even better this year?
I learned a lot. I'd say as a point guard, I had to play the point guard a lot, learning how to handle pressure and also just learning how to lead a team. We have a lot of young guys coming in. So I feel like one of my roles on this team this year is to be a leader and help lead those guys and, maybe easing up what I went through last year for them.
What's the best thing about being a three-point shooter and knowing when it comes off your finger that it's in and pure? What's that feeling like?
Oh, there's nothing like it. When you shoot it and it's going in, it's one of the best feelings in the world.
You've got basketball in your blood, right? Your dad played at Georgetown in the 90s. Were you always going to be a basketball player?
Most definitely. Yeah, I was raised, I didn't ever play any other sport. I was playing basketball since I was a little kid, and I just always loved it.
And you got another cool family connection, which is your cousin Riley Leonard is the Notre Dame quarterback. How cool is it to turn TV on and see him play every week?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm always tuning in all of his games. I'm one of his biggest fans. It's just amazing to watch, and we're super close as a family, so it's awesome.
How excited are you for this season to be in the second season of getting all those nerves and all that newness out of the way from last year?
I'm super excited. I just think we have an amazing group this year, and I just couldn't be more excited to get out there on the floor with them.
All right, we're excited to see him continue to play and continue to fill it up from beyond the arc. 94 feet with Bulls guard Ryan Sable.
Before we take our last time out, here are some more Mid-American Conference basketball coaches providing Black History Month inspirations.
Hanford-Dixon, because of the tenacity in which he played the game of football, something I've always modeled my life after.
I think of three people right away, and one is Dr. Candy McCorkle, who's our VP of Diversity and Inclusion here on campus, who's been very helpful to me. Second one would be my sports supervisor, Kiana Smith, who tells me what I need to hear on any given day. If I ask her a question, I always get the answer. And the third one would be, and I hope she sees this because I've never told her this, but it would be Coach Satera, who was, I coached in college at Michigan State, but she also was on my staff here for, I think, 6 seasons, and is somebody I continue to go to when I need any kind of advice from her, and she's always hits a home run with me.
Welcome back to Full Court MACtion. This year will mark the 25th season of the Mid-American Conference Tournament being held in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. Today we look back at the 2011 men's tournament. Akron entered the tournament as the 6th seed after upsetting Miami and Western Michigan. The Zips had to face top seed Kent State. We take you to overtime, where the underdog Zips have a 1-point lead with 12.8 seconds left. Kent State has the final shot at the win in this week's tournament time capsule.
It's into Randall Holt, back to Perini. 10 seconds to go. Perini hands one off. Blocked inside by Marshall. It's loose. Perini in traffic. That jumper blocked by McNeese. Akron wins.
Yes, both Zeke Marshall and Steve McNeese thwart the efforts of Kent State, cementing the championship for Akron. Zeke Marshall was named the tournament MVP and set the MAC tournament record with 9 blocked shots in a game. Before we say goodbye, time to take a look at the best moves in the Mid-American Conference, the ones that make you say ooh and ah. It's our plays of the week.
Gets it to Carruthers. Carruthers finesses back in long three for Carruthers. Falls! The Rockets take the lead with 5.2 to go.
Wait a second. Jacoby Hetty has other plans. A rim rocka shakalaka for the Hetty Band man.
And Singer, 5 seconds left. 4 seconds. Singer for the three, and she hits it. The 3-ball goes, and the Redhawks with 1.3 seconds left on the 3-ball by Tamar Singer.
Flashes by one. Ford got it to Nelson. Turn around, put it up. Back of the rim. No. Return. No. Rebound. Rico with it. Loose on the floor. Flashes win. The Flashes win.
That'll do it for this episode of Full Court MACtion. Join us next week, same time, same place, when again we will continue to provide full access for the best men's and women's basketball in the Mid-American Conference. Have a good night, everybody.